Here's an opinion from someone who was on staff at a church for almost 15 years when it comes to marketing, communications, media. And this is, I want you to hear this, because as someone who was highly involved in planning services, church ideas for both the couple of churches that I've been involved with, as well as the summer camp, the amount of time, energy, conversations, and money that we spent on coming up with sermon series ideas and sermon series graphics and, openers and all this stuff, which is great. Creativity is beautiful. I love it. It matters. But when you look at the priority and you look at strategy in, reaching people, reaching the lost, reaching the hurting, reaching people who are looking for a church, all those things, right? If you took this same, say over a year, you take the same amount of energy, time, money, conversations, meetings that you spent on sermon series graphics, planning a sermon series, even some of the content ideas, and you just basically cut it back to, the lowest level that you could do, and took the rest of that money, that time, that energy, those meetings, and put it into paid ads and actual content or resources, a podcast, anything like that. I'm telling you, the amount of people you would be able to reach, the amount of awareness you'd be able to raise about your church in your city, in your community, is infinitely greater than a sermon series and a sermon series graphic, right? Because a graphic, and there are a few of those sermon series that I think hit the spot, but in my experience, most sermon series, it's a little bit of hype for the people that are in your church. Those sermon series aren't really bringing in, attracting, or reaching new people, or bringing in new guests. What will bring in new guests are paid ads. And yet so many times I talk to churches, and at the end of the day, it usually comes down to budget. And I get that. I've worked at several churches. I work with nonprofits. I understand that. However, it's just really hard for me to believe that that's the reason or the excuse to not invest in online marketing, digital marketing strategies, when I know that you're probably spending quite a bit of money on graphics, sermon series, creating the bumper videos or the intro videos that don't really